and our retail space in Torrance. Thank you, Claire, for your last herbalism class. She's going to be hosting events. And the reason why we host these events is because we want to educate people about the healing power of teas and herbs. Since 2012, Zen has been helping people through the power of tea. And today we are going to cover tea blending, what teas and herbs that people use to help heal themselves and their loved ones. I'm going to go specifically over the doctor's blends that we make, and the to-dos and not to-dos. And of course, you have to be able to do research. There's a little book right here. It's called The Little Book of Medicinal Plants. Today, you can't find books like this. You want to grab this right here? Look through it. Books like that, no publisher will touch. And the reason why is there's a lobby, there's these things called lobbyists, and Big Pharma does not want people to know that you can take medicine, teas and herbs, instead of a pill. Look at that. So we'll cover this right now, but before I do you guys have any questions, anything you want to get covered? I know about tea blending or tea brewing. Do you guys have any questions or any thoughts? Just raise your hand, live time, and shoot it at me. Amazon. Shoot it at me, because I've been doing this for over a decade, and I love things that really stump me because it challenges me to better understand and research. So let's get started. Tea blending. When you start in the field of herbalism, you will find different blends. Blends for sleeping, blends for gout, blends for cholesterol. And when you look at tea blending, there is a science and also an art. Like cooking, your food can be your medicine. Does anyone know what doctor said that? It's an ancient Greek doctor. Close, Hippocrates. Same era. Aristotle was more of a philosopher. Hippocrates was a philosopher. He was in that Stoic background, but he was a big advocate for medicine. There's another modern day doctor who said that the doctor of the future will advocate on what they're, I'm going to mess it up. The doctor of the future will not prescribe medicine, but describe a lifestyle. You know who that was? Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison. This inventor, this businessman, he understood, like many people who search for money, 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 and then they get at the end of their lifetime and they realize all their wealth, they dump it into their health, because wealth will not buy you another day of life, and it can help you quality-wise as far as organic ingredients, but it will not extend. So, tea blending, number one, when it comes to blending, it is an art and a science. The art is you have to make sure that it tastes good, because we can make really good food that's really healthy for us, but if it doesn't taste good, no one's going to drink it. No one's going to eat it. That's right there. Number two is just because it has a bunch of medicinal properties, hibiscus, blood pressure, a lot of people know that. Manzanilla, chamomile, very calming effect. It has more of a relaxive, sedative properties. It's safe for babies, upset stomachs, teething. You can have those two blends together, blood pressure and calming. You don't want to give that to a child, because a child, although they could have hibiscus, it is still a relatively strong herb. And so when you're implementing tea blends for children, you want to do one tea herb at a time. And you can do the same thing for pets. There's something called, what's it called? Not cat's claw. The one that cats go crazy for. Catnip. Catnip is something. Works for kitties and for dogs. You have lavender. 4th of July Independence Day is just around the corner. You can give your animals, dogs and cats, lavender and chamomile. You can give them the dream of flowers. Animals are more, their stomachs are stronger than children who are building up immunities, but those are blends that are safe for adults, safe for animals, but not so much for children. Now, what about elderly, geriatrics? You want to stay away from caffeine. Now, the body is capable of rebuilding itself. That's the beauty of our human nature, really. If you give yourself enough time, the right rest and resources, the environment, you put in the right blend and your body will start recovering. That's not the case for pharmaceutical drugs. Pharmaceuticals are often symptom-based. Does anyone know what symptom-based means? Symptom. So let's say you have a bad knee, right? It hurts all the time. You want something to get rid of that pain. So we make a rooibos blend, or probably our most popular, our golden milk blend. Turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon. This anti-inflammatory properties. Turmeric has curcumin. Curcumin has a special effect on the nervous system. Great for skin, nails. A lot of people like using it in their blends, but it's really strong. Well, people will take something to help with the pain, but the pain is a signal to say, look, there's something wrong here. You need to make some changes. Maybe it's losing weight. Maybe it's stop jump roping or running ultra marathons. Whatever it is, the symptoms that people give, the pharmaceutical drugs that are given are often for the symptoms. You will never hear, at least on television, of a doctor prescribing a banana because you keep on getting cramps. Oh, you have cramps? That means there might be a hormonal imbalance. Here, take this pill. It's like, no. You need to start eating properly, maybe resting more. Tea blends have to be implemented with lifestyle. You catching this, B? Tea blends have to be kept in with lifestyle. And so you can have the most potent blend, but if you're not drinking it well with your diet, it will not improve your health or the health of your child or your family members. Tea blending, there's a lot more we can do about that. If you want, we can send you a PDF form. You could go to zenstea.com and download a free PDF on the herbalism class. It's at the very bottom of the page where we give you the different teas that are available. Now we're going to go about healing herbs. Now, does anyone remember what I said? You can put that. Well, are people watching on the? Okay, great. Then we'll keep it going. Now, healing herbs. What makes a good herb medicinal? Question. What makes a good herb medicinal?
The way you prep it?
Preparation, yeah. You don't want to put it in the microwave because then it would Does anyone know how microwaves work? They use like some kinetic energy and it kind of like works out through electromagnetic field and it kind of drains all the nutrients out of. You don't want to microwave your tea. Yes, preparation is one. It has to do where it comes from. Does it grow next to a freeway with a bunch of carbon monoxide being pushed out by cars? Or does it grow out in the wild? We have this right here. I took this photo. I took this photo in Darjeeling, which is over in northeast India, Nepal. I took it on that phone right there, that phone I used. Took it with my little iPhone. It is at, I think, about 5,000 feet elevation. So the atmosphere is a little more the atmosphere, the moisture on the ground, there's not as much smog going on. That produces healthier, better quality herbs. Those herbs that come from organic ingredients that are in an environment that's conducive to being very flush, very lots of green, that's how you get great herbs. Zen's Tea House has a good, strong track record of producing great tea blends, and it's because, and Havalo will contest, we do our best to make sure we get organic all the time, high quality, because if you go cheap, it will impact how your body heals. So the biggest thing about the healing herbs is you need to know where it's sourced from. Any questions? Fun fact, the best herbs, the most healing herbs that you can have are the ones you grow in your backyard. The reason why is because there's bugs, there's pollen, there's allergies naturally built up by the insects that go in the garden. And so you want to have herbs that are preferably grown within your region, not from another state or another country. Unfortunately, tea does not grow in North America except for South Carolina. There is one that grows there, and it's pretty good. But it's just not the same as Darjeeling because that's been around for a couple hundred years, and Darjeeling's been around for like 1,000 years. Crazy. They're like tea plants that are like 300 years old. Now, to-dos and not to-dos when it comes to herbalism. How many of you know of an herbalist? Anyone met an herbalist before? B. What makes an herbalist an herbalist?
Well, this was a Chinese doctor.
Ooh, a Chinese doctor.
And based on, your exam, she would write in a piece of paper all the herbs.
Ooh, beautiful.
And then they will go into the bathroom and they will get all the herbs and they will make it into powder and put it into little sacks.
There's a question. Did it say anything about they've met an herbalist?
I'm saying you should repeat it for the camera.
Okay. The question is, the question was, have you met any herbalists? And the herbalist that B met was a Chinese doctor. Now, are you afraid of being on camera? No? Okay. Are you afraid of being on camera? No? Can you come up right here for a second? So, Chinese medicine is it's very cultural, and what they'll do is they will look at your eyes, they'll see how your eyes dilate, and then they'll stick out your tongue, and they will see how the saliva, the color of your tongue, and sometimes they'll look at your hands, sometimes they'll look at your earlobe to see. There has to do with meridian points, and that's like Chinese doctors. They will look at your eyes, they'll look at your tongue, they'll look at your earlobes. They can look at other parts of your body. There you go. Thank you. And that's one type of herbalism. Other herbalists, kind of like teachers, they've spent so much time with the student that before the student even walks in the door, they know if they're going to be A, B, C, or a troublemaker, because they've seen the same people come in with the same problems for years, and they walked them through the process. When you're dealing with herbalists, there is no Western, in the East they do, there is no Western board. Why is that? Well, the whole board and regulation, that actually didn't exist until World War II, because it's actually kind of came out of racism. We had Jewish doctors escape Nazi Germany, and they were taking jobs from American doctors, and so they created a board to be able to regulate and say, hey, we do not recognize your education here. And although it's not racist today, it's simply a control thing where there are no boards, regulatory boards, on who are an herbalist. So it makes it more difficult to navigate credible herbalists who have a clear track record of healing people. My advice when it comes to finding a good herbalist or putting together herbal blends, someone who has a track record. Nothing like experience. And by the way, I am not an herbalist healer. I'm an herbalist blender. There are different types of herbalists. I make blends for doctors, and I let them take care of it. I am not a healer. Disclaimer. You want a healer, go to the website zensmed.com. That's ZENSMED.com. We have a search engine right there, which is the next step. We're going to cover that in a second. But when it comes to herbalism, it has to do with experience. And it's also very relational. You have to trust your doctor, and this is true for pharmaceutical doctors and naturopathic doctors and herbalists and nutritionists, even your coaches. You have to have that relationship. Because if that person doesn't trust you, or you don't trust that herbalist who is just prescribing to you a lifestyle, how to sleep, how to eat, how to live, these exercises, and they will do all four of those if they are true herbalists, because they have a holistic approach, they would explain and you would trust them, and there would be dialogues. There's something called naturopathy. Have you heard of a naturopathy, or ND? NDs, there's I think about 900 or 1,000 in California. These are doctors, actual doctors, naturopathic doctors, who went to Western medical school and then went to another school for I think another 2 years to become a naturopath using nutritional supplements and holistic modalities to heal the body. So they are far more than an herbalist, and that is a regulated board, and it's very much relational. You will not be able to sit down with a naturopath for 5 minutes like you would be with the doctor. It's usually about 45 minutes to an hour long, because they're going to ask you a lot of questions. And that's when you're working with an herbalist, you want someone who understands you, your culture, your lifestyle, and some of the problems. Now, what not to do? Does anyone use Google to search their symptoms? ChatGPT, oh my goodness. Sometimes we are our worst enemies. We will research, and we see this a lot. I read that valerian root is really great to help me with my insomnia. Oh, you have insomnia. Yeah, you just can't sleep. Why can't you sleep? The lady I asked maybe a month ago. Well, I have hot flashes. I get very hot at night. Oh, okay. I didn't want to guess her age. I asked her all these, asked her these questions. I said, you don't have a insomnia problem. You have a hormonal imbalance. She was going to take a very strong herb, valerian root, which actually does some damage on the liver, because she did a ChatGPT search engine and it gave her these results. And she took the Dr. Jen's blend. That Dr. Jen's blend has red clover blossoms, hibiscus, rose hips. It's one of the blends right there. It's a good blend to help with her body. Sometimes when people are looking for health and wellness, they are their own worst enemy, and it's often the people who don't know how to research. These are people who are uneducated, people who never really went to a formal school on how to learn. Now we go to the last part, which is probably the most important: research and search engines. Has anyone ever heard of this search engine called Google Scholar? Google Scholar. You had heard of it? So Google spends a lot of time, a lot of money on research and development. And there is Google Scholar, which when you type in, I want to know about the health benefits of green tea. And it says the date and the dissertations and how many times it's been cited. You could look up Google Scholar. It's one of the things that I love about Google. There's a lot of things I don't, but there's one that I do love about Google, is that you can find information that is virtually impossible to find on the internet. It's an academic research publishing archive where you can find things that have been published decades ago by doctors, and you can find people who got their PhDs, that is very high research credentials, who said, we read this article, we're experts in this field, and we sign off on it. Back in 2015, I started doing researches on the benefits of cannabis. And then all of a sudden, it became very apparent that they were hiding information. Because the benefits of cannabis, I think it became legal in 2018, but I remember I started selling teas with CBD, cannabinoids, which is like marijuana-based product, and it was wiped off. If I hadn't learned how to research, I wouldn't be able to see those voids. There's information that's not available online, even with Google, that are published peer-reviewed articles in other countries. In China and in Russia, they were curing cancer with mushrooms back in the 80s. No one would ever talk about that. Now, Google Scholar has its own issues, and there's no one-size-fits-all where this is where you could go to trust, myself included. I wish I could say that everything that I say is great and perfect, but things change and technology develops, and maybe catnip isn't good for cats. Maybe that will change, I don't know, but research is constant. The thing about science and research, it's constantly disproving itself until it becomes a law. This herbalism, it's often theory. Because in theory, if you lose weight, eat healthy, the weight and pressure on your knee would improve. That muscle spasm that you would have would eventually improve because your body is capable of recovering. That is a theory, it's not a law. And that's one of the scary things about science and research is there's very few laws. So once you understand how research and search engines work, you can start navigating the field of herbalism, which is what in our herbalism class at zenst.com, we have an herbalism class. We cover kind of shameless promotion. We cover the history of medicine. We cover the philosophy. We cover the herbs and how to implement. And then we cover specific blends. Are there any questions right now? Any questions you thought? Miss B? All right. So, any questions online? Can you check right here, Halva? There you go. Thank you so much. The people on YouTube. We have a YouTube subscriber list. If you want to sign up on be a preferred member on YouTube, you get special access to some of our herbal blends.
Herbs for asthma.
Herbs for asthma. Asthma, so I would say asthma is actually this is one of the trick questions. Asthma is actually has to do with allergies. And so it's not an internal problem, it's an external problem. Does that make sense? You can make a blend to help with your sneezing and coughing, mullein, hyssop, ginger, these expirants, to help you clear out your nasal congestion, help increase your breathing. But if you are in a stuffy car or you're in an attic where there's poor circulation, guess what? The allergies will get the best of you. So you can be allergic to dogs, take the best tea, herbal remedies, get the best sleep, and if you are taking a bath with dogs, you are going to sneeze. So asthma and allergies. Now, you said specifically asthma. People who are asthmatic, it has to do with like their bronchials, their lungs and how they breathe. And it's really by case basis. You have to take a look at their blood type, their diet, their age. Sometimes it could very much be just leaving Southern California. Did you know that LA is the #1 place for lung cancer? #1 place you will die of lung cancer because of the LA air. Yay! So, unfortunately, that's just the nature of where we're at. So, hope that was helpful. My best advice on that when it comes to asthma, breathing exercises, learning how to breathe well, local honey, build up those allergies, and drinking mullein tea. Mullein tea is a lot of evidence to show about mullein tea. All right, we're going to shut this off right here. We're going to keep this live going. Thank you on YouTube. Like and subscribe and share with friends. We are trying to educate people about the healing power of teas and herbs.